Wow, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to today's section of Episode Digest. We are pleased to have everybody here. As usual, my name is Charlotte Ipia Ejapon. I'm a digital marketer here at Elsons, and I'm here today. And last time I received a comment on our Facebook session saying that I don't put the profile of our resource person out there. So today I'll do the honest to introduce himself and tell you what he does and what he's into. Yeah. So Mr. Imar, up to you, please.
Okay, so I'm also Emmanuel Edisa Boatin. I am the operations manager for Elsins. Have an interest in property communication, marketing, and then I'm also a law student. So that's our profile with respect to that. So we've been in the property business for close to about a decade, and we want to share our experiences with you as well. So good evening, everyone watching from the world.
Wow, awesome, awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. So today our topic for today is basically how to sell or buy property here in Ghana. Yeah, so we've got to just hit right into today's business and then hit into our today's discussion. Oh, so Mr. Ima, what's Ghanaian property market? What's all about? What's the overview of the Ghana property market now in Ghana?
Yes, especially for persons who want to buy from the property market. They are very vast. I mean, we have a current situation where people are trying to move to the peripheries of the country, especially when you talk about Accra, Kumasi, and then the Takrad, because people are beginning to realize that the centers of the various cities are actually places that are choked, and you talk about city pollution and all that. So people are taking interest in moving to the peripherals of the various cosmopolitan areas that we have. So you see places springing up in Accra like Oyibi, Ebri, Kasua, those areas, Senya, Gomoalands, and those other areas like the Koklobite and all those places, Ashie, Shai Hills, Tema, Newtown, towards those Afienia areas. So these are becoming in terms of residential accommodation, these are becoming preferred areas because of the communal nature of the place and how suitable the place have been couched out for residential purposes. So these are the current trends that we have here. We also have in the mainland cities that we have these, we call them the studios, where you have a single room is being partitioned into a hall. You have a little bit of space for a kitchen, and then you have a restroom and all that. So it's something like a townhouse. So these are the high-rise buildings. You have like Villaggio close in the center of town and all that. And these are properties that are costing so much fortune to procure because they are in the middle of the city, and you are able to overcome the challenge of traffic situations and making up for time and then distances between workplace and those places. So these are also another area. So you see that those in within the central parts of the cosmopolitan areas are having to give up their land for some of these real estate constructions so that people can have that. So if you are looking for a townhouse, then you are not looking for a place where you'll be self-compound, where you can have your own. No, these are like apartment kind of buildings. You can still buy them. They still provide you with long-term services in terms of cleaning the room, taking care of your utilities and everything. So it's actually a luxurious kind of apartments. So people invest in those areas too. They buy them and then they use them to provide accommodation for people that are on short uh, visit to Ghana. Because if you're not using your townhouse, you can rent it out to somebody for like a month or two. And that is also another form of income that people are making from those areas. So this is actually the general overview of it. Companies are also going into rentals and all forms of it. So, from the residential point of view, that is much about it, which I think this particular stream is supposed to address. So we're looking at residential accommodations. So these are the two types that you have: those that are at the peripherals of the town and those that are in the heart of the town, and then the situations that it pertains. Yeah, we still have the old estates still around, the Dansumans, the East Legons, East Legon Hills, Laboni, Osu. Yes, we have them around the Awudomi estates, little stretch around. So all these people are there. But you can see that the trend now, even with those areas, is for them to pull down the low houses and then construct these townhouse structure that I'm talking about, which will accommodate them. You come to Westland, the same thing is happening all around. Chimota Residential and all those areas are having to convert to those ones. Jolo, another very nice place. Abelempe is also there. Ashoman Estate. And if you go to the Tema communities, it's becoming something that people are trying to do because those apartments were quite small. And so you need a lot of land space to be able to do that. So this is actually the overview of the property market, especially when it comes to accommodation in terms of residential facilities that are available for anyone to procure. Yeah,
Wow, wow, insightful. And there's a lot going on.
exactly. Exactly.
Yes,
A lot of opportunities. So for our friends that are watching us outside, those that are in Ghana that are
yes,
looking for, and you know, these real estate investments are quite the stable type of investments that you always will be expecting good returns and your expectations will not be cut short because these are very reliable investments that can yield the maximum returns whenever that it's called upon to yield that investment. So it's a good investment that people could look at. Yeah, great.
yeah. Oh, wonderful. Thank you for
Yeah,
showing us insights into the value of the
yeah,
property market. Now, I would like to ask, in the property market, as you just give us the overview, are there rules? Are there some signs we're supposed to follow? Are there any interrogatory you're supposed to go through? Yes, please.
yes, yes. Thank you very much. For these properties that we buy, I think one of the rules that Elson has been re-echoing to most of our viewers is the fact that in buying a property, you assume the place of responsibility to do all the due diligence that you are required to do as a buyer. The
Okay.
onus is on you as a buyer to ensure that you have done the best of due diligence. And that is why we always reiterate the fact that in your pursuit to acquire properties, landed property, you could go away with rental because the sum involved might not be much, but whenever you want to do such a capital expenditure or investment, you need the best of advice because whatever the decision you are taking, you are going to live with it. And regardless of the charges that you're able to level against somebody for an unsuccessful transaction, your money would have been gone. So you do it and you do it right. If it has to be done, it has to be done well. So that is what we talk about. So that is the cardinal principle that we want everybody to remember that the moment you decide to buy something, the moment you decide to buy a landed property, the assumption is that you have properly vetted the property. And to the best of your knowledge, that is the best decision you have made, devoid of any fraud or any kind of underhandling. So you have to get that first and foremost. Secondly, it acknowledges the participation of third parties. Some people are able to say that, oh, I want to get this, but I don't want an agent. The property market actually or regulation, in fact, recognizes the role of brokers or something that we also call agents. So it is for our good that sometimes when you are pricing your product or when we are looking for a product, you factor in the component of the charge of a broker because a broker will present to you all the various options that are available to you. You could be looking at one end, but with the involvement of a broker, you're able to look at various options and you're able to have the best of expertise in terms of advising you with respect to how you are able to get the things that you need. And I'm sure that is the focus of our streaming today, that what are some of the things that you will be looking out for as a buyer? And what are some of the things that you ought to be looking out for as a seller, which add value to a property or gives you value for money as a buyer? So we will be looking at that. And the crux of the matter is that you need to beware. Buyer beware principle is there. And then there is also the option of you assessing a reliable agent or broker to assist you make sure you have a successful transaction. These are very two essential principles we want to talk about. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Audience, if you are listening, do it and do it right. Don't just do it anyhow. Do it the
Exactly.
right way. Yeah. So
Right.
how do we go into the search for the Ghanaian
Okay.
property market?
Okay.
Research.
So we'll be talking for the benefit of the buyer.
Okay.
And you could do a search, and then especially when the search reveals that it is for a family or is for a stool, that is where the confusion comes in. When the search reveals that it's a family or a stool, most often these lands have been registered some decades ago, and maybe the undersigning persons or principal elders to the family or to the stool may not be around. And some people may be contesting that they are the lawful successors to these persons and obviously belongs to those families or stools. But the law is very strict. The principle is that the family head plus two principal elders must execute a deed. So, and another principle as to family and stool land is that before the execution of a deed, there must be the conveyance of a meeting to seek the consent of the family in the alienation or the sale of the land. These are principles that you, as an ordinary buyer, may not know. So, you could have the undersigning people wrong, or you could have the processes not fulfilled as required by law. So whatever you have done will not be right if properly contested. It is assumed that whatever you've done is right until it is contested. And when it is contested, all of these things will come out. It is a basic requirement for everybody that is going to buy any property. It could be a building. Sometimes people go and buy and say that this building has been there for 13 years, it's been there for 14 years. I remember some last transaction we did last year. We had a building that, yes, the owner of the building was not in contestation, but unfortunately, he had not done the documentation covering the land on which he had built. So, Ghana, we don't normally do property documents. So we assume that the title to the land is the same as the title to the property on it. And in fact, in law, we have a principle that says that whatever is on the land, under the land, is for the owner of the land. It is
Okay.
a known principle. Earlier on, there was a principle that when you build on a land and it's not for you at a certain stage, the court entreat the other aggrieved party to settle you so that you can continue, so that you don't lose. But that has been taken away. Now, the principle is that whatever is not for you, regardless of how you've invested in it when it comes to property, you will lose it. You ought to be the rightful owner. That is a clear principle. Earlier on, there was some caveat about when the person is using it for a hospital or public project and everything, the court can consider and then get settlement. But the recent rule is that once you do not have a lawful right or interest in the land. If you have stayed on it for 30 years, 10 years, whatever, unless, of course, there's a principle called acquiescence, limitation rule and other things. But even that one, it is not a room for you to come in. So at all times, you must make sure that you're doing. So if you are buying a property and then we are able to assist you to know that the land is not properly registered and it's in the name of another person who can one day come and say that the land is for me. So maybe take your building away, let me take my land. Obviously, you're going to be in trouble. You can't carry your building away and give the person the land.
That's
It is
true.
part of it, it's affixed to the land. So That is the danger that it poses. So you need to do the search and do it properly. And
That's
in
true.
these times too, there are a lot of people that parade themselves as landowners, and they might have used the tools of langars and other things to possess the land and be taking control. But the rightful persons that are recognized under the law as holding the interest in the land, you can only find out when you do a search at the Lands Commission. And that is why we entreat that. That is the basic line. You do the search, and then whoever is holding the interest or wanting to sell the land to you will now explain to you why this results, and is able to provide proof to you. If not, what you do is that you buy a land, you are able to build on it, but in future you might have trouble. And then there could be undercurrent litigations over the land. So it is expected that you do the search, you confirm ownership, and then you're able to do it. And mind you that in the new Land Act, it is an offense to sell a land which you do not have a registered interest in. It is an offense. So if you are selling a land, there must be proven interest, a lawful interest in it for you. So if you're a landowner, you are that, and you are selling a land and you don't have any registered interest in it. It could be a registered interest in the name of a family which you represent, fine, or a stool that you represent, or your dad that you have succeeded, or something like that. But there ought to be a registered interest. The law says that if you are selling a land that does not have a registered interest, that means that it is unlawful. So that is very important for us to look. So you must look at the background check, and that will help us to forestall these double sale and all these contestation on that. So that is a basic thing to do.
Oh,
If I need to say that. Yeah.
wow. Thank you so much. Make sure you do the right search. Make sure you don't
Yes,
buy any land from anybody you don't know. Make sure you
exactly.
do the right searches. That's true.
You
That's
have
true.
the interest in it.
That's
Exactly.
true. That's true.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
could you take us to the negotiations? How do the negotiations
Yes.
happen?
Now the negotiations is very important. A lot of people have missed it because the moment you are buying a land and the land is not properly registered, and a lot of estate companies have led a lot of clients astray because he does not disclose the full interest in the land to the client. So for instance, I have gone to see some chiefs, and the chiefs have given me a portion of land, and they have told me that this land I can sell. I do not negotiate with the chiefs that the amount that you are telling me to sell the land includes the signing of the documents or the execution of the deed for onward registration. So I go and sell the land to a client, say 10,000 or 20,000. And then when you are about to register, the allodia owners, the original owners who gave it to the estate company, will now require you to pay another money for the signing of the document. So we tell people that if you know the status of the land, it helps you to negotiate. So for instance, if I'm a client and I know that you, the estate company, have not taken the pain to register the land into your name so that onward transfer will be smoother, and I'll still have to go to the chiefs or the family for them to execute my deed for me, then it means that I must pay you less because whenever I go there, I will have to pay money again. So knowing the status of the land is very, very important for your negotiation.
Okay,
People
that's
will
very
hurriedly pay money, and then the consequential cost that will follow the settlement of that becomes so huge. And in fact, people have lost the land because when the alludia owners say that we don't know you, it means that you can't even possess the land. The land is for the chiefs or the family, not for the real estate company. The real estate company was to facilitate that for them. So that is why it's very important that in negotiating land for onward sale like this, we are able to ensure that we have settled all these loopholes. So somebody will say that I will do the documentation for you. So the company will take all the site plans and everything, send them to the chiefs for them to sign, send them to the family head and principal elders for them to sign, so that it becomes an executed deed for you to be able to go about it. Similarly, for a house. So if you are buying a house, and that is what we do for our clients, when we are buying a house, we don't just come and take the utility bills of the house and say that it has confirmed ownership on the person. We want to know the ownership of the land. So if we don't have the, we know that the ownership of the land is not for the person that has built on the land. We prepare what we call the surrender agreement. We make sure that the one that has the land has surrendered his interest to the one that has built on the land before they can now transfer it to you in terms of sale. Elsin does this so that we close the lacuna, because the whole thing is that you own the house, but you don't own the land. And that can spark a different form of litigation and unending litigation. So, in order to make it safer, we now require the person that is selling the land that you are supposed to execute what we have given you, called the surrender deed. Make sure you look for the person that has the interest in this land per our search. Let the person sign his interest off to you.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
mostly when they go, they have to pay monies. The last one we did, the person had to pay close to about 10,000 again to the person. And now, if you had bought the land and you wanted to register, you, the new buyer, would have now been required to pay that money.
Wow.
And that becomes additional cost. And that can be some of the few indicators that you can use to negotiate the price of properties. So if the property is not fully executed, then it means that there is a risk component. That risk component, if you are working through Elsin, we are able to negotiate that risk component out, not just by reducing the amount of money you are paying, but making sure that whatever reduction that is being done leads to correcting the mistake,
Okay.
that the defect that is in the transaction, so that you can have a peace of mind.
Okay.
You can have a peace of mind. The another thing too that we do in negotiation is what we call the work in progress style that we do, that we are able to, especially when it is a bare land, when we lead a transaction for you to procure a land, we are able to structure an agreement in the form that you are able to go onto the land and do certain things while documentations and other things are going on, so that you can be fully assured that this land is truly yours. We have something that I usually say that possession is 9 points of the law. And then possession is 9 points of the law. If somebody is holding something and you are holding the documents for that thing, that is what we usually say, that the person in possession has 9 points and the points are 10. So if the person has 9/10 and you have 1/10, you can imagine the kind of effort you have to use to be able to overturn it. And that is
That's
very
true.
important.
That's
Yes. So it is very important that you do some of these things simultaneously. Whilst you do documentation, you take possession of the land, you continue to service the payments and other things. And you can only do this with somebody who has a very broad view of understanding of the property market and is able to make a case for you. Because obviously, people might be saying that, no, I don't want to get this, I don't want that, and all that. But
okay.
if you are able to put all these things in place, it is able to help you. And some of these land processes, they take time because they actually want to check. So
Okay.
registering of a land could take about 1 to 3 months. These days, there are reforms, so it's becoming more less and less stressful, and other things that you need to do. And you need to learn to pick digitized site plans. We
Okay.
always tell people that you hold some document and they tell you that this is the document to this land. How do you know that the land there, it is the documents that you're holding?
Wow.
So always take the pain to verify for yourself. And you can only do this when you are able to extract the digital site plan. You
Okay.
extract your digital site plan and then you match it against the search that you have done. Someone say that, oh, he's doing it for me, he's doing it for me. You need, if you don't have time, you need to consult somebody, a broker or an agent for the person to do that for you. Because you can't put all your trust in a
Okay.
seller to give you all documents. You have to take the pain to confirm because you have only one chance to verify these things. Beyond that, it is assumed that you did this thing with the full knowledge that you are doing the right thing, and you can't blame anybody for that.
That's
You
true.
can't blame anybody for that. So if the Lands Commission has moved from this analog side plans to digital side plan, then how much more you, the individual that is investing your money in it, you should be more interested in getting a digital side plan that will help you to do or confirm the right position of the land, the right parcel of land you are talking about, and then the rightful owner. And then that will also help you to do that. Yes. Similarly, for
Well,
the seller, you know the worth of your property. You have gone through the rigor of registering it. It has a digital side plan that the person can use the barcode search, scratch it, and know exactly where it is. So you don't wait for somebody coming to buy a property before you do the proper thing. Now, when you have done all this, it moves your property beyond certain threshold of risk, which adds value to your property. Yeah. So if somebody is selling a land, we normally ask, is it a title land? Is it an executed deed? At what stage is it? Oh, it's my land. We've not done any, but everybody knows that it's my land. And obviously, you know that there's a lot of work to be done around it. Oh, it's a title land. This is the title number, A25 this. You're able to do a proper search. And those conveyancing of such property is not difficult because you just get a person, he conveys the interest into you, and that's all. You are good to
okay.
go. And then we also want to tell our buyers to be mindful of sublease,
Okay.
especially from strangers. Sublease. The rule is that land in Ghana is not sold outright. If you're a Ghanaian, you can only hold the interest. So if you see the language I'm using, I'm not saying buy, I'm saying hold interest, transfer interest, transfer interest. What you buy in the land is the interest in the land. So for this number of years, I have interest in the land. For this number of years, I have interest in the land. People that are not, the rule is that if you are a stranger, what we mean by a stranger is that you are not an indigent, you are not a family member, you are not a member of the stool, and you go and buy a land. We term you in law as a stranger. So you, the stranger, you go and buy a land, and the land says that you have 99 years. You have built on the land and live there for 55 years. The only interest you have to sell to somebody is how many? Is it still 99? It's not 99. It is possibly left with about 35 or something, or for
Yeah.
38 or 39. I don't know. But obviously not 99. But what you
No.
find these people do is that they will go and do a new deed, especially those that have gone ahead to register it at the Lands Commission. They will go ahead and do a new deed and put the place 99 years for the person. Meanwhile, you are not the allodia owner. You can't give 99 years.
Mhm.
You are a stranger. You eat only into. So what happened is that the person will buy the land, have all these documents, and then one day the alludia owners, especially in Accra, they will come around and tell you that your tenancy on this land has ended. And it's
I
true, they
hope.
will prove documents to you that this particular tenancy was for 99 years and it has ended. And so you have to freshly negotiate. So if you are somebody who is a vigilant buyer, all these things you will have to look at and know that how many, how much time of the lease period is left to be sold. So if the person is trying to sell to you, oh, it's 99 years, no, you check the document and say, oh, you've exhausted it. You've exhausted about 50 years. And that can be a stronghold in negotiating for the price to come down. Because in some few
Okay.
years to come, you have to service another rent to the allodial title holders, the proper title holders, who can now give you a 99 years.
That's true.
So these are some of the things that we believe every buyer should be aware and understand that these are some of the things that you need to do, and they'll be able to go a long way to help you. So understand the type of land that you're buying. So if you're buying from a family, you are buying from a student, the principal, as I've told you. And if you're buying from an individual, then know that it is a sublease because he's a stranger and he should be selling the rest of his interest in you, not redefining a 99-year relationship with you. because he doesn't have that lawful right to do that. Yes.
That's wonderful. Buyers, you
Yeah.
should make sure that you do all these basic checks before you buy a land.
Excellent.
The negotiation
Yeah.
should be right. Your closure should be right. The documentations as well should be right. Make sure you don't just do
Yes.
anything or buy
Yeah.
anything. That's it. Wow,
I,
moving on, moving on.
I want to emphasize the fact that
Okay.
the 99 years is applicable to everybody, every part of the land. Now, our constitution says it clearly that all lands are vested in stools and in government, in the president and everything for us. So that is, it applies. And it even stretches to foreigners. So if you're a foreigner and you know our brothers in the West African countries have come to procure lands and have built here. So the foreigner there, the law says you only have 50 years. So if you have stayed for 40 years, you have only 10 years. So if you're a stranger and a foreigner, there's even another limitation on the number of years you can hold an interest. So
That's
all
true.
these things are very, very important that you vet it properly. And we know that it's quite Herculean for individuals to go through this process. And that is why we are saying you can rely on us and we can give you the best of service. We can stick out our neck to tell you the profile of the land, and
Wow.
you can be sure about that, and we will save you from a lot of trouble. A lot of thousand Ghana cities will be kept in your pocket if you decide to follow us. You don't need to
Yeah.
waste it with land gas and all that. So we'll do the right thing for you to have a peace of mind. Thank you.
That's true. Thank you. Thank you so much. Today has been insightful. Wow. With regards to the seller, how does the prices closure comes in place? With regards to the
Okay,
seller.
so the closures are very, very important, and those purely are legal parts of it. We are not used to environments where you come and we are telling you that 5% of the value of the transaction must be paid to a lawyer for these things. But we insist because we want everything to be done properly. And some of these documents I'm mentioning, maybe you might not have heard them before, the closure agreements and everything that we do. We try as much as possible to go beyond the receipts. Bought a land and they have given me receipt. They have bought a land and will give me receipt. We know the way receipts are manufactured in our part of the world. So that is not a reliable document of proof. So you need a proper thing to be done, and we do that for you. So you bring that to a proper end, that you surrender these things to that. And those documents will aid the person to be able to do the necessary coverage, because the format in which they take will help the person to take rightful ownership and subsequently be able to use the document for other purposes. And that is very, very important. So that is an advisory aspect that we do. So you could have entered into an agreement to buy a land or a property. You can call us as advisors in, and we don't take anything more. We just take what we are supposed to take, and then we'll give you the best. And then we guide the whole thing. It is normally good that when you are buying or investing into capital spendings like land and buildings, you get an independent third party as a witness and not individuals. This man was there. But when you get an institutional reference point like Elson's Real Estate, it's not about an individual. It's not about Charlotte or Edu that tomorrow he's not there or what. These are institutions. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. So how does Elson's come into offer to the sellers or the buyers or the online property
Yeah,
market?
exactly, exactly. So we have an online portal, and we do self-service. We provide self-service where you yourself are able to go to the online market, elsonsonline.com, elsonsglobalonline.com. So it's an online market that we make available to you. You are able to post your properties. We have a portal dedicated to real estate, and another one for cars, automobiles. So you can post it there, and then you can put your contact there, and then you can be a reference point as well. You can also hand the property over to us, where we do an honest assessment of it. If you call us in, you might have undervalued your property. We could help you to properly value it. And you might have overly inflated the price of the property, which can be a problem to your disposal of it. And we also advise, we've had instances where people have undervalued your property. We've advised them to inch it to the proper, because the moment you undervalue it, it brings suspicion, maybe because you did not know, but they are highlights of trouble properties. So if it is not properly priced, that one too becomes another matter. And if it's overly priced, it also becomes another hindrance. So if you contact us, we are able to do that for you. We are able to make sure that the set price for your property is actually the price that is good. And then we are able to do that. There are people that have come to us that have gained more than they were expecting. So when people begin to think about contacting agencies and the fact that they are going to take commissions, you'll be doing yourself a disservice. Maybe your property would have been getting a 50,000 more than the 10,000 or 15,000 that you'll be paying as an agency. So, and then it will take away some trouble, which could have bedeviled the amount of money that you have earned. So we are always available. Our numbers are available, our WhatsApp platforms, our emails. We are very, very active. You could contact us and we could help you. Be that you're a buyer or a seller, we are ready to help you. You could also visit our website and then help yourself out, post something there, or review some of the properties. And if you're interested, you contact us and we'll help you accordingly. Yes.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you, thank you. Today I
Yes.
have a question. I have an answer to my uncle who just saw a WhatsApp status of a friend saying that he has a land
Yeah.
somewhere, and then he followed it through, and then he met the person one or two times, and then made
Yeah.
negotiation with the price and everything. Meanwhile, the seller, how the person posted to sell the land is not right. The buyer is not right. So
Exactly.
probably today I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
a very good answer to my uncle who did that. Now he's
Exactly.
fighting over
Exactly.
the
So
land
due
issue right
diligence is
now.
very important. Due
Yeah, yeah.
diligence is very, very important, and it will
Yes.
save us all the trouble. Yes. Yes.
Wow, wow.
Yes.
Well,
As for
thank
the
you. Thank
offenses, we've treated them before. There are a lot of things that have become offenses. So you can now be rest assured just that you might not use your money to drag people to court, because there are a lot of things that have become offenses under the new law act, new land act, but it's just time wasting. Just avoid them. Come to Elsin, avoid that trouble, and we can serve you better. Yes. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You've been an insightful, have been insightful discussion so far.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Viewers, don't look nowhere, don't know elsewhere. Elsons is here to serve you and serve you right. Just know the status of your land. Make sure when you are negotiating, don't forget that. Do your checks real. Yeah. So today happens to be the end of our discussion on the topic how to
Exactly.
sell
Yeah.
or buy
But
property.
before you go, yeah, before you go, let me chip in this about the building permit.
Okay.
Something that is happening in Ghana now, and because of the rains, government is taking a serious look at building permits. And in fact, a lot of people have lost their properties. For the
Wow.
past 1 month, a lot of people have lost their investments. And because they bought the lands at the wrong place. Buying a land and building, that is not it. The most important thing is that is the land situated at the right place? Do the check. Just do the check. And this thing doesn't cost anything, that the process that you have to go through. Contact us today and then we'll visit the assembly, we'll put in your application for you, and they will clear the land for you. They'll tell you that the land is admissible for residential purposes. It is possible to build it there. And then we can have that on record. In fact, beyond the permit certificate that they'll give you, they can give you a temporal letter that permits you to go on and build. So if you're having a challenge with the time that is going to take for your certificate, your building permit certificate to come out, they have now had a system where they can give you a letter after the inspection and everything. They can give you a letter for you to proceed whilst they process your documents for you at the final stage. So you can contact us if you have any of these difficulties, and then we'll be able to help you accordingly. Thank you
Wonderful.
very much. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, thank you, thank you. The rain and then the rain issues with the gutters and when houses
Yeah,
are being
quite
created.
quite a serious issue. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
very, very
Huge
serious.
buildings are being pulled down and all that. People's
That's
commercial
true.
property was so much.
Our audience, you don't want to go back to a home where your land or your home has been put down. Make sure
Yes.
you do your checks, contact Elsa, and then we help you with any documentations or anything that require your property should be maintained for 2 years. Thank you for listening. Thank you, our audience. Thank you, Mr. Yamano. You've been very insightful. You've been,
Thank you
anytime we
so
call
much.
on you,
It's been wonderful too. Thank you so
yeah,
much. Yeah,
anytime we call on you, you are here to help us, give us
of
these
course,
wonderful messages all the
as
time.
always, as always.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Viewers, this comes the end of our discussion how to sell or buy property in Ghana. If you want more clarification, go on our website. If our website is www.elsonsglobal.com. Our Facebook is Elsons Company Limited. Our LinkedIn is Elsons Company Limited. We are working. We are on Twitter as well, Elsons Company Limited. So in fact, we are everywhere on the online platforms.
Everywhere,
Everywhere.
reachable. And our
Everywhere.
number is on
Try.
WhatsApp as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, yes. You need to
great.
call. You just use your bundle and then just reach out to us, and we are here to serve you better. Catch you same time next week. Thank you for having us. It's been wonderful listening to us, and it's been wonderful delivering to you as well. Take care and see you same time next week. Bye.
Bye bye.